Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Willy's Wonderland. Let playtime begin.
Directed by Kevin Lewis, starring Nick Cage, Emily Tosta, Beth Grant, Chris Warner, and Rick Reitz. This movie's about a quiet drifter who hits a spike strip while going through a small town. He doesn't have the cash to pay for repairs, so the mechanic suggests that he gets a job at Willy's Wonderland, an old Chuck E. Cheese style eatery that's fun for the whole family, but it's been closed down for quite some time, and he's been put in there to clean the place up.
You spend the night cleaning Willy's Wonderland, and I will pay to have your car fixed.
Unfortunately, in his new role as the janitor, the animatronic mascots come to life, and now he needs to defend himself. This is a recommendation from Reese Jordan over on Patreon, who won one of our monthly movie raffles. It was from a couple months ago, but we've waited for the Blu-ray release. We got those extra 1080p clips. Now, we're not gonna get into too many spoilers, but we are gonna talk about a lot of the movie. It's pretty straightforward. If you've seen the trailer or you've heard about this movie, you basically know what happens. So what do we like? First and foremost, Nick Cage absolutely crushes it. He does exactly what he was supposed to do in this film, was come in, be a badass. He's got his shades, he's got his cool car, and he's got like that the Fonz factor where he's just this badass that just oozes cool. And he doesn't say a word. He's there to do his job. He's very meticulous at what he does. He sets breaks for himself, and regardless of the situation, even if an animatronic is attacking, he's like, nah, it's my break time. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna enjoy my punch soda and just chill out.
I would say probably is one of my favorite Nick Cage characters, next to Memphis Reigns from like Gone in 60 Seconds. Like that I thought was like the most badass role he's ever been in. I mean,
Castor Troy, my guy. Come on.
But like, he was great in this film. And the fact that you have him not saying a single word of dialogue was brilliant. I knew exactly what emotions he was getting across with his expressions, just his movement, everything. It was perfect for this movie. Nick Cage nailed it.
I enjoy a man of few words.
And he really just helps capture the 90s aesthetic and vibe that they were going for here. Him playing some pinball or like doing his little weird dances, and just like the rest of kind of like the lens flares and just the overall style of this movie just really works with Nick Cage in the primary role. And he kicks the shit out of these things. That's great. It's really fun.
One of the very first like showdowns that he has with Ozzy the Ostrich, when he rips the neck out and you see this robotic spine, it is awesome. I appreciated the humor in this film as well. There was a lot of like subtle jokes. Like it wasn't like laugh out loud moments, but it was funnier than I expected it to be.
Yeah, the repetitive scenes kind of fits to his character. Like I said, with the taking breaks, he's very like focused on his job, and that really helps. And it's cool the fact that when you hear of like robots, you're like, oh, well, then there's probably not gonna be any blood in this movie. So what they did is they used the oil of these machines to spray all over the place, much like you would get from a regular kill. So that was cool.
And then talking about the animatronic, they're creepy, but like familiar in a childhood way. And when you accompany that with like the birthday song and all the music that's happening, it just gives the perfect atmosphere of like childhood memories and horror.
It's your birthday and we want you to have fun.
I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting a backstory in this film, and we got one. It's basically Child's Play. I love Child's Play, so of course I'm gonna love this.
This town has a dark history, and it all starts with this horrible place.
I also like some of our cast. Liv is obviously the standout. She's the primary lead other than Nick Cage, and she just wants to burn Willy's Wonderland down. But there's this guy who just keeps working inside, and she's trying to get him out. You can kind of get behind her because you learn her story as we go through the film, and she's a pretty cool character. I also like the sheriff. She also has like some dark history. I mean, the whole town has dark history with this place. She is one of like the antagonists, kind of, but she also is like a mother figure to Liv. So her character really starts to shine about like halfway through the movie. Just going back to the animatronics, I know like we said, like they're cool. I just like the choices of the animatronics because they were all very different. They had like a different look. The little Mexican turtle, Tito, he was hilarious because he's got this little mustache and he's got a hat on.
And he spoke Spanish.
And then we've got the more humanoid like siren Sarah, who's got this like demon kind of face, and she's got her own little world. So the sets were really cool as well.
Wanna fuck, fatty?
But I think the scariest one was the crocodile. Holy shit. Speaking of that, shout out to that hot ass babe, Kathy. She came here to look hot and chew bubblegum. And she wasn't out of bubblegum at all, but you know. I was trying to come up with something, damn it. She kind of ties into this well with another 90s reference from Double Dragon back in the day. Because when she's climbing up this ladder, it's basically the exact same scene with Alyssa Milano. There are little nods like that that really help tie in that whole 90s vibe. Now, what didn't we like?
I thought it was kind of weird that everyone just died really quick. It's like one of those things in a lot of horror movies that I find I complain about is when the kills aren't spaced out. We just had like a whole massacre in under like a minute.
It was more like 10 minutes, but yes, I understand. And I agree. But otherwise, what are they gonna do? Just sit around and have a pizza party and fucking Willy's Wonderland?
You could have stronger showdowns in each room, or like one person going in at a time.
I didn't really care for the characters anyway.
You want to go in there with those things? Are you high?
Look, if he want to be cremated, that's his business.
Like, it didn't matter to me if they died. Liv was cool. Even Kathy, if she wasn't like the scantily clad babe in this movie, I wouldn't care about her. No one was really built up to care for, and I guess that's probably why they just got killed off really fast. But I think you should care about somebody before you see them get murdered so that there's some other additional impact. It's not just like the visual of them dying.
Even though we don't need it, I still think I would have liked to know some kind of backstory or direction with Nick Cage's character. It doesn't take away from what I'm watching, but I kind of feel like it would have been fun to like know why he's so badass.
This is what I was gonna mention in the likes and I forgot. It would be really cool if this was just a character that had a franchise. Maybe the next thing is a body snatching world. You know, like he gets in his car, he goes from town to town, does his fucking thing, and drives on. That would be too cool, and I really hope that's something that is being considered.
He could be your next Kolchak.
The Night Drifter. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Willy's Wonderland is exactly what I wanted it to be, and it didn't let me down, which is great, because this is one of those movies that can be easily hyped up in your own head, especially with all the talk about 90s nostalgia and animatronic stuff. We saw it with Banana Splits and how that was kind of overhyped for what we ended up getting. And thankfully this delivered on exactly what you would want. Nick Cage being a badass with a cool vibe, beating the shit out of animatronics. And it's just like a fun popcorn flick. You don't have to think about it at all. And it has a pretty cool backstory as well once you start to uncover it. I did wish that we learned a little bit more about like the kids that go into Willy's Wonderland, so that when they died, I cared a little bit more. I think this is definitely worth checking out, but it's not like one of the best movies for me. So I'm gonna give this 3.5 weird guys always with a meat stick in his mouth out of 5.
This was actually a very fun film. Anything from my childhood that can be made into a modern day horror, I'm probably gonna appreciate. It works and Nick Cage makes it work. The animatronics look great, the humor was good, and I felt the jokes did hit their mark. The only downside I have with this film is that the kills with the animatronics to the other cast members weren't as good as I hoped. On top of that, other than Nick Cage and Liv, the rest are just there. And that's kind of disappointing as well, because you would want better showdowns, you want better situations for the whole cast. But I would definitely check this one out. So with that being said, I give this film 4.5 punch pops out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. And if you want the opportunity to recommend a movie for us to review, check out the Patreon link, also in the description. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with everything Bloodbath and beyond.